Hello friends, welcome back in VMware Cloud Foundation Deep Dive Webinar Series Part 4. Today we'll be talking about the VMware Cloud Foundation post-deployment tasks. Before that, don't forget to like, share and comments and subscribe my channel. And if you have any feedback, you can put in the comments, and also you can write us back on nextgencf@gmail.com. So let's get started now. All right, so part 4. So far we have covered part 1 where we talked about the Cloud Foundation overview and VMware Cloud Foundation Plus and the VCF Day 0 tasks where we primarily talked about kind of VCF deployment, and part 4 today we'll be talking about post-deployment tasks. And there's a lot of upcoming webinars around the technology that we are covering end-to-end the entire VCF stack in this webinar series. So keep on watching and stay tuned with us. Well, what are the key topics that we will be covering today in part 4 series or session 4, we could say? Complete the VMware Cloud Foundation onboarding wizard. When we say the completion of onboarding wizard, what are the key primary tasks that you have to perform just after bring up process of your SDDC manager? Configure and manage the backup, adding identity source, and integrate the VMware Cloud Foundation with your VMware Single Sign-On. So these are primarily the tasks that we consider as kind of onboarding task. Detail how to configure user access in VMware Cloud Foundation. What are the different level of user access we can define in the VMware Cloud Foundation, and explain the roles. What are the different roles are available for the users? Configure and integrate the identity source and configure the user credentials for SDDC Manager bundle downloads, the password management for VMware Cloud Foundation components, primarily your ESXi, vCenter, SDDC Manager, NSX, and the ARIA Suite Lifecycle Manager, and the best practice of keeping the password secure, retrieve the password, how we can see the current running password using the SDDC Manager console, and describe the process of rotating, updating, or remediating the password inside the SDDC Manager. All right, so when we say once my VCF, my SDDC manager is on, I mean, it's up now, how we can onboard that. Onboard means that the initially primary task, what you have to perform. So you have to register a backup server. A backup server could be your SFTP server, could be your SFTP server outside, and it should be talk with your SDDC manager. Once you will configure the SFTP as a backup server, it will be automatically configure your backup for your NSX manager configuration and SDDC configuration. However, still for keeping up the vCenter backup, it's not integrated with your SDDC manager so far. The vCenter server manager backup you have to configure locally from the VMware console of the vCenter server. Then the next task, connecting the identity provider. Identity provider could be your identity provider could be your AD kind of stuff that will be seen in the next slides, like which could be the primary identity provider, and configure the online depot. When we say the online depot, is that the VMware online depot from your SDDC manager. The SDDC manager will be downloading the installed bundle and downloading the upgrade bundles, downloading the upgrade bundles and installation bundles. So these all are kind of, you have to configure online depot. When we say online depot, you have to register with the VMware certified accounts. And like if in case you are using Dell EMC VxRail, then also you have to, for accessing the VxRail inventory, the VxRail binaries, you have to register yourself with an account with Dell EMC portal. That should be primary. Like that point of time, you have to configure 2 accounts. One is for VMware and one is for Dell EMC VxRail. Okay, for the backup configuration, when we do the backup configuration, register a backup server and configure the automatic backup setting, and you can define the schedule. When we say the recurring backup, enable the recurring backup, and how you want to take it. You want to take it daily basis, you want to take it weekly basis or hourly basis. And this is showing the written backup list. What are the numbers of last backup will be retained, and retain the hourly backup or retain the daily backup, which all backups you want to retain, hourly or daily or a specific time, whenever SDDC or whenever SDDC complete a task. So these are the different frequency of backup SDDC configure. You can configure in SDDC Manager. Again, when you configure SFTP as a backup server, it will be pushing your configuration of your SDDC Manager and your NSX Manager. Okay, so it will be taking backup to your SFTP server, to your SFTP server. Okay, when we say the identity source, who could be the identity source who can log in inside the SDDC Manager? Okay, so any identity source, first of all, it could be an Active Directory Federation, ADFS, AD over LDAP, or Open LDAP. These three could be any identity source which would be further integrated with your vCenter Single Sign-On. And once it will be integrated with your vCenter server appliance, then user would be able to authenticate inside the SDDC Manager. By default, if we talk about the different roles and permissions type, we'll be talking in upcoming slides. Don't worry about that. Before that, online depot. What are the online depot? Under the lifecycle management, we'll go in bundle management. And here you could see in administration tab, there is a tab online depot. So when you will click inside the online depot, what you need to do, again, you have to register a VMware account so that you should be able to access the installation bundle and upgrade bundle. But before that, the important thing is for your SDDC Manager, before you configure depot or you want to download any kind of bundle, your SDDC Manager should access the internet. When I say should access the internet, either your SDDC Manager should have access, directly access by using some netting service and all, or a proxy should be configured with your SDDC Manager, so that you can see the, once you register yourself inside the online depot, so that you can see the required installation and upgrade bundle for download in your SDDC Manager. Okay, so if we talk about the roles, what we can provide to SDDC Manager, by default administrator @vsphere.local has the administrator role, has the admin role into SDDC Manager UI and API interface. Beside that, if we are integrating any identity source, we want to provide the different set of roles. Three roles are available: admin, operator, and viewer, where admin role have again unrestricted access to your SDDC Manager UI and API. Operator role cannot access the user management, password management, or backup configuration setting. Beside that, operator can do all other tasks. The another role is viewer. This is kind of a read-only role, where a viewer role can access the SDDC Manager console and view all the setting, again, except user and password management role is hidden for the viewer role. But again, it's only view only role. You can't see any you can perform any activity. Okay. SDDC Manager SSH account role, where root, VCF, and admin @local. These are the different role set available when you are accessing SDDC Manager through SSH or by using some putty. Okay, so all these are the different roles when you are accessing the SDDC Manager using the SSH console or putty console. Beside that, VCF have some service accounts. So some service account just when you are doing some integration for any external kind of visualized automation or orchestrator or any other API interface, external API interface you want to integrate with VCF and you want to make a call, then you have to create separate service account into SDDC Manager. Okay, so here are some labs that will be performing configuring an Active Directory as an identity store in VMware vSphere. It is same that you have configured, you have integrate your Active Directory within your vCenter server, then assign the AD roles into SDDC Manager, kind of if you want to assign some of the role admin, some of the role operator, or some of the kind of, you can configure some service account directly into SDDC Manager. And again, as I said, like you can configure any AD user as an admin, as an operator, or also viewer, as an viewer. Okay, that all you want to integrate. And kind of if you want to protect the password for the AD users, for AD user, your password is by default protected within your domain controller. Further, you can integrate any kind of user account that you are using for logging into SDDC Manager or maybe in vCenter server using some password authentication manager tool. That password authentication manager tool kind of CyberArk or maybe another third-party provider, but that will only maintain and secure the password which are coming from the Active Directory, not the default username and password. Like for example, the default user is administrator@vSphere.local or any inbuilt account that is not managed by the CyberArk. The all password management would be taken care by SDDC Manager for the default accounts. Okay, move ahead. Let us see how do we do the password management into the VCF environment. In VCF, SDDC Manager manages the password for all the components like ESXi host. It could be UI password or it could be kind of the root password. When I say UI, kind of you are accessing vSphere host client or root. Same way for vCenter server, it is my root account that we access through PuTTY or VAMI console, or it is my administrator@vSphere.local account, NSX manager all accounts, NSX age, ARIA suite lifecycle manager or VLI suite lifecycle manager, and SDDC manager backup user account. That all been taken care through the password management inside the SDDC manager. So how we could check and list it out, like if in case we forgot the password that is being generated by your SDDC manager, you can log in into SDDC Manager using PuTTY command and just login through login through VCF account, then do SU, just sudo, just entering into the admin console and run the lookup password command and put the service account name like this. When I say service lookup password, and choose your component. Let us suppose you want to see the all password for NSX. Maybe you want to see the password for your ESXi. Maybe you want to see the password for the vCenter server. Just put the component name and put the account name, which have the rights for managing your password. For example, administrator@vSphere.local. Beside that, you can add any other account as a service user account who is especially managing the password. So the lookup password command that you have to run inside the SDDC manager. Okay, beside that, the SDDC manager, by default SDDC manager password, you can change through the API console or by logging into SDDC manager by using the PuTTY command, login into SDDC manager, and you can change the password by using the PASSW command, or kind of the password being used for API. You can change admin password that is using for API calls, set basic authentication running the script, then you will be allowed to upgrade your password. By default, SDDC Manager use the inbuilt admin account for internal API call, like as we see in the previous slide. Within the SDDC Manager, you will find the different types of account, like root account, VCF account, and the admin@local account, that is inbuilt account, and all the credentials being set during the bring up process. So the recommendation is you should keep a frequency of updating or changing the password. When we say upgrading the password for the components that is available inside the registered within your SDDC manager, by default they follow the vSphere password policy. But if we are generating any password using kind of SDDC manager. For an example, you have deployed all these components during the bring up process. So you filled all the passwords into the deployment parameter sheet. The passwords are running. By default, they follow the VMware password policies for all the component, like what is the password expiration and all. But later on, if you want to rotate your password using the SDDC manager UI console, they will generate the random passwords for your components, the component which you have selected. Okay, so the main thing, like when we see in the password console, we'll get three options. One is rotation. When you say rotation, it means that you will select the particular component and you will just rotate the password. It will generate the random password. The random password could be seen by lookup password command, again through SDDC manager. Then first is password rotation update. If you will click in update, a UI console will be pop up for you. You can put the password as per your desire and and remediate. When we say remediate the password, it means that, like, for any component, you have just changed the password to the local console, not through SDDC manager. Just put the same password in SDDC manager while you are trying to remediate, so it will sync up, so that the same password should be sync up inside the SDDC manager. Okay, so this all we discussed. And API Explorer finally. So API Explorer do a lot of tasks. When we say lot of tasks, all the tasks you are performing into UI interface into SDDC manager, that's all could be done through API Explorer, where we have the different set of APIs. Like for example, we have some command get, we could get the information, patch, patch, patch. We can, it's not kind of patch and upgrade. We can upgrade any existing environment. It's not like of simply your patch and upgrading. This is not like that. Patch is something, update something. Post, kind of, you can supply some command, and you can see the result, what actually happens end of the day. So this is how API Explorer work. Okay, so let's get jump inside the SDDC Manager UI console, and I'll show you some of the parameters with respect to what all we have to do during the bring up process, post bring up process, onboarding the VCF environment, what all the steps we have to follow, how we'll integrate the identity source, or from where we do the password rotation. So guys, I have logged in into SDDC Manager console here. Inside the SDDC Manager console, you could see the day one, where you could see the step one for learn and plan. This is for primarily onboarding. And the next course of action, where you could see configure SDDC Manager. First of all, you have to register a backup server, connect to an identity source, and connect to an online depot. So let us see where these options are available. However, when you will keep on doing this, you will go view details and you will keep on step. It will give you all the details here. So in this lab environment, the backup server identity source have been already configured, but from where those are configured, I would like to show you. So as I told, like during the onboarding process, these all things will be done from here. But later on, if you want to make any edit or any change into the environment, where you will go in SDDC Manager. So here in SDDC Manager, you could see the tab backup. Okay, under the backup section, you will click. So here you could see the last backup successful on this date. And from here, you can see the backup schedule setting. Under the backup schedule setting, what we have done, automatic backup. It's a weekly backup Wednesday at this time of interval and retain the last backup. So it is retention policy. I'll keep the last backup of one day and all. But again, it's matter like how you want to configure as per your environment and customer requirement. So I'm just canceling it. And I want to show you, if I'll click on the site setting, under the site setting, from where you have configured your SFTP server for backup configuration. So if I'll click here, edit, under the edit tab, you could see my SFTP server name, port number 22, transfer protocol is SFTP, the username being defined, and password you have to given, and the respective directory. And if you want to integrate kind of your SS thumbprint for your SFTP server, that you have to copy here. Okay, so it will by default take the backup of configuration of your SFTP server and NSX. Again, I'm repeating my word. It is for SFTP server and NSX configuration. Still, for vCenter configuration backup, you have to go locally in the VMware console of the vCenter server, and you have to configure from there as a file server for the backup source. So now if I'll click on single sign-on, under the single sign-on tab, you could see some of the users have been already added. But if I'll go into identity provider, under the identity provider, I can register my identity. So here you could see vSphere.local is my vSphere SSO identity, local OS is my SDDC manager, and the VCF dot SDDC lab. It means that this is my Active Directory environment, which is being added here as a identity source. So again, I'll go to users and group tab. Under the users and group tab, if I will click for the users or groups, and I want to add any of the user from the existing environment. So it is showing me almost all local users. So if I'll click here and I will select the specific kind of domain like vcf.stdc lab, it is my Active Directory environment. If I'll click here, I'll found the number of users. Let us suppose I will select the LX as an user here. So here, let me select the LX again. So once I'll select the LX, here the role category. So under the role category, you will find all three types of role. One is admin, second is operator, third is viewer. So it's all matter of the choice as per your environment to which particular user, and you want to assign which particular role. So that's how we can assign the roles after adding the identity source into SDDC Manager. But keep in mind, any identity we want to publish into SDDC Manager, first of all, we have to publish the same identity manager in the vCenter server. And hope you know how to configure the identity source in SDDC in your vCenter server environment. So now let's move ahead and see how the password management is being done. So under the security tab in SDDC Manager, you will find the password management tab. If you will click under password management tab, you will find the list of component, and for each list of component for which user account type, you can change, upgrade the password. So you can see here you can manage the password for ESXi, vCenter, PSC, Platform Service Controller, NSX Manager, NSX Edge, and the backup service user that you are using in the SDDC Manager. So if I will select any of the component, let us suppose for this example, I'm taking ESXi. For ESXi, I have two types of user. One is root and second is the user for the vSphere host client. So if I will select any of the host, let us suppose I can select for all, that's not a matter. Okay. Even I can select for all. I am not going to change now. Okay. So it is asking me for the it is asking me rotate now. Like for example, I select, let us suppose I have selected this and I'll click rotate now. Rotate now means it will immediately rotate the password, and the updated password will be visible inside the SDDC Manager. Another thing, I can schedule auto rotation. When I say the auto rotation, it will change the password as per the schedule which we configure. Okay. And like particular account, if I'll come here, rotate now and update. So again, when I click the update now, sorry, rotate now, it will create a random password, and that password could be visible through SDDC Manager only. If I'll click update, it will prompt me a UI interface, and I can give the password as per my desire, but that password should follow the VMware password policy. Okay, and the next tab is available in the password management for any of the user account, that is remediation. So normally remediation tab will use simply, as I told you earlier also, if you change by mistake, you have changed the password from your local console of any of the component of VCF, and that should be updated into SDDC Manager. The same password you will put here, password confirm password, and just click on remediate so that your SDDC Manager could identify the same password. Okay, so best practice is always being said. You do not need to change for any of the component passwords from the local console. These all passwords primarily managed by your SDDC Manager. The key thing you have to keep in mind here is, for your all ARIA Shoot component, you have to change the password locally from the ARIA Shoot console. When I say ARIA Shoot Lifecycle Manager, under the ARIA Shoot Lifecycle Manager could be multiple components. It could be your ARIA automation operations for monitoring operations for log and log insight and WA kind of identity access management. So these all component password could be managed through the ARIA products separately. So what all password we can manage from here? These all are the password. So if I will, let us suppose if I'll click rotate all, so rotate all is kind of, it will rotate. So schedule rotation is primarily when you say not supported for the ESXi entity type, but if I will select kind of other component, let us suppose I select vCenter server here. Under the vCenter, I have root account and I have one account for this, and SSO PSC, it should have vSphere admin. So if I'll click here, if I'll select kind of the user account, and if I want to make a schedule rotation for it, I can configure the schedule rotation. So when I say schedule rotation, when my password will be automatically rotated. It's a time of 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. Okay, so by default, the password age is 90 days. Even after, if you don't make any schedule, still you will get a prompt here, and you will get some under the password management itself. You will getting started some alert or warning your password is about to expire. Okay, so that's all kind of things you can perform through the SDDC Manager console itself. Well, so here is the quick recap what we have covered in this webinar. The Cloud Foundation onboarding tasks, primarily the backup, adding identity source, and define the online depot. Then user right management, what are the different level of user rights are available, how will integrate the identity source, and the password management, and the VMware Cloud Foundation API Explorer. Yeah, let's get back to lab. So I think we have missed something. I want to show you about the kind of how will register an account into the Cloud Depot. So guys, I jump back into the lab environment. So here in lab environment, where you could see the online depot option. Inside this online depot option, you have to register yourself. Once you click and authenticate, you should have a validated VMware account, and you give the VMware account and the password, then authenticate. Okay, and only this authentication will be possible. As I said earlier, your SDDC Manager should be accessible or should be able to communicate over the internet by using some netting IP address or by using some proxy setting. Here you have to just configure the proxy server detail if you want to access the internet through proxy to your SDDC manager. Yeah, so that's it for this webinar. I would like to thank you all for your passion, and hope you have enjoyed this webinar. I'm coming up with more series of webinar. Stay tuned with us, and please don't forget to subscribe, like, and put your comment and share with your friends. Thank you very much for the day. Thank you. Thank you very much again.